Hi everyone, in this video we are going to look at how we add assembly constraints and assemble different components in Autodesk Inventor, basically putting multiple parts together. So rather than selecting the assembly option, we're going to go to new and we're going to make sure we've selected the metric option, and instead of our standard IPT that we would normally use, we're going to go down a little bit further in the menu and we're going to select the standard millimeter IAM, and the IAM just stands for Inventor Assembly. So once we've selected the create option, it's going to open up a new file for us, and you'll see that the menu up along the top looks a little bit different. The interface in the middle is still the same, it's still the same kind of Inventor background, but you'll notice we don't have the sketch icon, some of the icons look different. And what we're going to do is, rather than selecting the place from content center, we're just going to click the little menu and choose the place option. Now that allows us to navigate through our documents, and what we can do is we can find the Inventor models, and in this case I'm going to go into this folder and I'm going to pick out one of the Tetris blocks. Now when I select that, you can see I've got all my different types of shape in there, but I'm going to select the first block, I'm going to click open, and then it's going to allow me to import this file into my assembly. I'm just going to use my view cube to move this around a little bit so you can see that I can position my block anywhere on the page, and when I click it will automatically place a block, but it will also give me the option to place multiple blocks of the same type if I keep clicking on the page. I'm just going to right click and then select OK, because I only want one of them to be in there just now. Now I can orbit around, I can move this and reposition this just like I would in any normal part. The difference is that I'm able to actually start adding extra components, so I can spin this around, use my different views to orientate it the way I want. But the big difference I've got now is I can place an extra component. So this time I'm going to go in, I'm going to select block 2, it's a different style block, different colour as well, and I click open, and I've got the same option. Each time I click, it will place a different version of that item. So I'm going to place one over here just by clicking once, move my mouse cursor over, click again, and then I'm going to right click and select OK. That's placed two components, and I can move them about in and around the other object. So what I want to do now is be able to join these parts together and stop them moving about freely. So I'm going to go up to the constraint option, and I've got two different choices. I can mate objects together, or I can use the flush command, which we usually refer to as the align command, but it's flush in Inventor. So the mate command will put two objects face to face, so two different surfaces will go face to face, and the flush command, or the align command as we're going to call it, allows two surfaces to be aligned. So we're going to start with mate. I've selected mate in the menu, and then I'm going to choose the two surfaces that I want to join together. So I've chosen one on the red one on the blue one, and when I click one on each surface and then select apply, it means that those two surfaces are snapped together, they are mated together. So I'm going to select cancel, and you can see now that when I move the red block, the blue one moves too. And if I spin this around, you'll see that those two surfaces, although they can move up and down, each time I move forward and back, the red block is dragging the blue block with it. What I want to do next is I want to stop it moving up and down. So this time I'm going to zoom in a little bit, move my block out of the way. I'm going to go and pick constrain again from up in the top menu. I'm going to select mate again, which is already the automatically highlighted one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the surface on the blue one and then that underside surface on the red one. And you can see it's jumped up together. I've pressed apply, and then I'll click cancel. And you can see now that there is still the ability for that block to move forwards and back. But now, when I move up and down or left to right, they are stuck together. It's only now they can go side to side, forward and back, and I want to be able to stop that. Now, if I was to select mate, that would cause it a bit of a problem. The rules in the constraints would be too complicated. So I'm going to go to constrain this time, and I'm going to select these two front surfaces, and the big difference will be is I'm going to align them together, so I have to use that flush option. So by selecting the flush option and selecting these two front surfaces, what's going to happen now is that these blocks are going to be what we call fully constrained. They're going to be totally locked in position and totally connected to one another. So they're now not independent. Where one goes, the other one has to go, and that's based on these rules, these constraints that we've given to the two blocks. If I spin that around, you'll be able to see that now I can bring in the other block. I'm going to constrain that in the same way, but just in a different position. So I'm going to select that surface here, and this time I'm going to mate it to that surface. Remember, mate is the automatic setting for a constraint. You can see now that those two blocks start to move with the others. But because those two blocks are now not facing in the direction that I want, before I constrain them, I'm going to choose this free rotate option. Just by clicking the block, and then I get the option to orbit and spin it around, so I can get it roughly in the position I want. I'm going to unselect free rotate, and I'm this time going to go back into my constraints. I'm going to select the back surface, and now that inside blue surface. I'm going to mate them together and select apply, and then just cancel to close off the box. You can see now that it's moving up and down, but I can still move forward and back, so I want to stop that now, and to do that I constrain it, this time by selecting the flush option, the align option, selecting the two front faces, and that snaps together, and then I select apply and cancel off again. And you can see now that all these blocks are starting to come together, they're all fixed in one position. So just to give you one last demonstration, I'm going to add one more block in. I'm going to go to place again, I'm going to select one of the other blocks, this time block 5, I'm going to open that. I'm only going to place one of them, so I'm going to right click and select OK. I'm going to free rotate that just by clicking it, and then having the option to pivot around or orbit around to get it roughly the way I want it, which can make the assembly that little bit easier. I'm going to deselect free rotate and then go into constrain. I'm going to spin around in my view cube. I'm going to select that surface first, move in my view cube, and then click on that surface. I'm going to mate them together and select apply, and then you'll notice that it's not quite aligned, but what I can do is add an extra constraint, and when this one, selecting the underside and the top side there, that automatically corrects it. It starts to move it back into the right position based on those constraints. And the last one, as we've seen already, I'm going to this time change to flush, change to the align option, and I'm going to select those two front surfaces and apply it. And you can see that all those blocks are now come together in one assembly. And this is the same option that I would use to assemble any object in Inventor, my two main commands being mate and align, and it allows us to work in a variety of different ways.